Call of Duty is a franchise that is filled with great to good to mid-range to bad to really, really bad multiplayer maps. For me, there are only two games in this franchise that have given arguably the best maps. Inside of this, I believe that there are three very big reasons as to why that is the case. Today, in this video, we are going to discuss why I believe Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3 have the best multiplayer maps in COD history. On top of this, we will also go into why every COD moving forward should use them as a template. If you believe that these games have the best multiplayer maps in the franchise, give this video a like and comment down below which one is your favorite from each game. If you disagree, then let me know which others you believe could be talked about more from other games. If this video can get a goal of 30 likes, then that would be greatly appreciated. To get right into it, my inspiration to want to make this video not only stems from my experience in playing both of these games, the most out of any COD, but also based off a tweet that I saw just the other day from @takeaway on Twitter, or Rich as he goes by, where he basically says, "I wish every Call of Duty had Black Ops 3 colors," and below it is an image of the version of Nuketown from Black Ops 3. I want to expand upon this and not only agree here with Rich, but also explain the reasons for why a game like Black Ops 3 with a map like this version of Nuketown have the best maps in COD history. To reference the three big reasons I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the first would be locations. The second would be the colors, as of course addressed by Rich here for Nuketown and Black Ops 3, and then the third and final one, as pretty much a bonus, would be the layouts of said maps. I have been saying this for years, but these three reasons encapsulate what it is that makes either a good or great map, or even sometimes maybe a semi-decent mid-level one. Black Ops 2 and 3 have all three of these things to great extents. I'd like to start off with the first reason, which is locations. Locations are very important to what makes a map uniquely likable, and I think Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3 in their own ways make each map do that when you play it. Let's take a map like Grind from Black Ops 2 for example to start. It is set in a skate park in Venice, California. If you think about it, this map itself has no correlation to the rest of the game, not to the campaign nor the zombies mode. Something that I feel must be considered when making a map is to make the location and concept of it so different to what the rest of the game is like. I think that a map like Grind represents that perfectly. From an identity perspective, it is also a map that, say for example you are somebody in real life who is a lover of skateboarding, then this is completely the map that resonates with you. If you are somebody who likes concerts and raves, you might like the map Encore. If you are somebody who enjoys the activity of skiing and snowboarding, then you'll like the map Downhill. Or let's say for instance you are somebody who likes volcanoes, well then you're gonna definitely like a map like Magma. And again, take a map like Magma, the concept is so uniquely different to what the rest of the game is, but it is also an interesting idea and concept that allows for a great gameplay aesthetic. Again, I want to emphasize this, these locations have nothing to do with the rest of the game, or at least I would say more than half to most of the maps in the game don't really have anything to do with the rest of the game. There are maps like Drone and Carrier and something like Aftermath that do relate to missions in the campaign, but for the most part, if you look at something like the DLC maps in Black Ops 2, those maps in particular don't really have anything to do with the zombies mode or the campaign. And I feel like this is something that is missing with some of the more recent games. In particular with the Modern Warfare games and a game like Vanguard for example, I'll give Vanguard a pass only because of the fact that it is World War II related, and it would not really make sense to create maps around locations that are not centered in areas that World War II didn't affect. That's definitely limiting for that game, which is why I think they need to move on from that time period for good. But again, I think that World War II era games do get a pass for this. I, however, think that Modern Warfare games do not get as much of a pass. When I look at a game like Modern Warfare 2019, for example, I can easily pick out the maps that I feel do not belong simply because of the fact that they relate so much to the rest of the game, but also are just not uniquely made based off the location. 6 that came to mind immediately are Argloff Peak, Azhir Cave, Euphrates Bridge, Grasna Raid, Gunrunner, and Hackney Yard. If I would have put those 6 maps up to somebody who didn't play the game and I told them to see how different they are to each other, they probably wouldn't say that it's too much of a difference. These 6 maps look like they are within 5 miles of each other in terms of location and don't really feel any different to each other based on their look. As crazy as it is to say, maybe the most unique map in the game because of its location, even though it was hated a lot by the community, would be Piccadilly, which is taking place in Piccadilly Square in London. Even though it connects to one of the missions in in the campaign, I do find the location to be quite interesting for a map. However, in execution, again, people did not like the map at all. The rest of the maps in the game are either remakes or again just a bunch of locations that feel all too similar to each other. Again, looking at Black Ops 3 maps in terms of the locations, you have a map like Hunted, which takes place in a big game hunting lodge situated beneath a waterfall in the lush mountains of Ethiopia. Rumble takes place in a giant robot arena in Brazil, Splash takes place in an abandoned water park, and then you have one of my favorite maps of all time called Micro, which takes place literally on top of a barbecue picnic table. Maybe, just maybe, and I'm curious to know if anybody else will agree with me in the comments, but that might be the most unique COD map of all time. Certainly one of the most unique maps in first-person shooter history, I would say. It is a great concept, and it is also truly vibrant with color, which is now a great segue into the second reason to speak about. Color is way more important than a lot of people truly think with regards to maps. If you take the idea of maps out of it just from a general video game perspective, having a very colorful game is going to be more appealing to the eye. And before anybody pushes back against me, yes, I understand that there have been many successful and beloved games that don't have a whole lot of color to them in the history of gaming. But when there is a lot of color, and I guess saturation to the color, if you want to put it that way, there are a lot of people who do come to appreciate that as well. Of course, it does depend on what the game is going for and what it's about. Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3 are more uniquely futuristic but have a modern feeling to them, at least with a game like Black Ops 2 nowadays anyway, since they originally came out before. I feel like from a futuristic perspective, you are able to do so much more with color. Even though games like Infinite Warfare and Advanced Warfare are not as highly regarded when it comes to multiplayer maps, the use of color for those maps is done very well. A lot of the more recent games have suffered from this extensively throughout a lot of maps. I already mentioned Modern Warfare 2019 is one example, but a game like Vanguard and Modern Warfare 2 2022 really do suffer from the lack of color. I'll be fair as well in saying that the older games as well had issues with this, and games like World at War, Ghosts, and the original Modern Warfare 3 are highly regarded as being some of the most colorless games in the franchise. It doesn't matter if it has to do with the maps or not. My goal with this video topic is not to just criticize the newer stuff. I can also do this for the older games as well, at least when we are talking about this particular subject matter. This is why I feel Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 2 are the pinnacle of what makes for great looking maps with regards to color. I truly don't know if any other game has come close to being as good and as memorable when it comes to color, but again, even all the other reasons as well. I always enjoy going back and playing maps like Cove from Black Ops 2, which are so uniquely vibrant with the blues of the water and sky and the greens of the plants on the little island that you play on, or hell, as we go back all the way to the beginning of the video when we mentioned Nuketown from Black Ops 3, where that map arguably has every single color on the color wheel inside of it. That's the main reason why I think it's the best version of Nuketown, better than Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 4, and Cold War. It just does not compare when you take in how cool they made Nuketown in that game look because of its futuristic time setting. It only makes it way better to experience when you are playing it. It is now time to talk about the last reason, which, as I mentioned already, is more of an honorable mention, and that's about the layouts of these maps. Lots of the maps in both games do feature 3-lane layouts for places for you to run down, which is standard, but there's something inside of a game like Black Ops 3, for example, where the layouts, because of the movement, really make it more interesting to play through. Because you have that advanced movement, there are areas of the map that you can traverse around using wall running and boost jumping. It's obviously a definitive advantage over boots on the grounds games, and that is why it makes so much more fun gameplay out of it. The same goes for the fact that this was also the first game to introduce swimming and going underwater. I know a lot of people at the time were a little hesitant on something like that, but I think in the end people got used to it and started liking it. But talking on that advanced movement part of it all, the layouts change so much when you factor that in. Take a map like Breach, for example. You have your standard 3-lane style with the caveat to this in that each side has an ability for you to go through it without just running down the standard route. You can wall run in between this little part right here for people to not notice you coming down the middle. On this side, you can take the wall that's hanging outside of the ledge and get to either side without having to go through the main hallway. Hunted is another example of this. You have a 3-lane style system, but also an interconnected 2-lane system in the middle portion. You can either jump up to this window right here and go through the middle, or you could take the water passage and go through this direction to another 2 different spots on the map. Just a unique way of designing a map that doesn't make it feel so standard and generic. We move over to Black Ops 2. Take a map like Cargo, which again has a standard 3-lane system, but the middle portion is so interesting when the gameplay is on. Sometimes in the very middle section, you'll have crates being lowered down and up for you to move around. This spot right here has a window for you to look look out to see both the middle and the other side, while the spot right here allows you to look at it from the opposite way. This is another reason why I like a map like Carrier. For one, it's got a great location concept, but then also it's just a very open map. You can practically see the entirety of it if you just stand high enough at one point, minus the lower sections. This is not something that is just unique to these two games. There are plenty of maps in all of the games in this franchise that do really cool stuff with the layouts. For me though, when I look at these two specifically, I just feel like they do it the best. That is why, in my experience playing this franchise, these two games have featured the maps that I know the most by name and all their other features. Sure, I might have played both of them the most, but I also put a lot of hours into other games too. I've got a bunch of hours into games like World War II multiplayer, Modern Warfare Remastered, the original Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, but for me, Black Ops 2 and 3 really nailed down the idea of what makes great maps. For the most part, this video is really meant to focus on those first two reasons, from locations to colors, but I thought I'd add in a third bonus one too with the layouts. This was a really fun video to make, and I feel like the conversations that we can have about everything I spoke about in the comments below will be even more fun. I would really like to know how you all feel about this. Do you feel that there are any other reasons to what makes a great map? Do you have a game that in your mind has better maps than Black Ops 2 or Black Ops 3? And finally, what is your favorite map of all time? Be sure to speak about all this down below in the comments. If you enjoy this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe. My next goal on this channel is to reach 3,000 subscribers. Please show the support. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm very passionate about these videos that I make. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day and a good rest of the week. I'll see you all soon for another video. This is Orion, signing out.